A little while ago, we reacted to SypherPK's video, Loved versus Hated Fortnite Seasons, and now he did the same thing, but this time with weapons. And I thought, hey, you know what, why not continue the trend? As somebody who typically really enjoys a lot of things in Fortnite that people don't, I think that I might have a fun reaction to this. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with too many YouTube channels. Guys, let's watch this video together by SypherPK, Loved versus Hated Fortnite Weapons.
Fortnite has a lot of different weapons. Some of them people love and some of them people hate. So today I've put together a list of the 8 most loved weapons and the 8 most hated.
I don't know, like, off the top of my head what they would be. I can kind of see the flint knock over here. This might be one of them, but the most hated weapons, I can't really make any of them out right now, but regardless, we're going to be talking about some weapons over here, okay? And I got to say, I love the way these videos are presented too.
Hated weapon number 1, the crossbow. This was added early in chapter 1. And
I don't know, man. Like, I wasn't there for chapter 1, season 1, if it was added like anywhere around then, but people didn't hate it when I started playing the game, like around chapter 1, season 3. I don't remember exactly when it was in the game.
We're pretty excited for an alternate way to kind of snipe people, but it was terrible. It was part of a Valentine's Day update, and the blue and purple one only did 75 and 79 damage, but that wasn't even the worst part.
And I remember carrying this weapon too all of the time, just like wanting to be the guy that got a headshot with a crossbow, and it just sucked.
Hitting a shot with this crossbow was nearly impossible. It had a different bullet travel compared to the sniper rifle, so nobody was used to it.
And like, different is not even like doing that justice too. Different means like it, like, you could see it coming and walk to the side.
It only did 1 structure damage, meaning you could not break any builds using this crossbow. You also had to pull the bow back every single time you shot, which was awkward.
I don't remember that.
Very, very slow and clunky. As a result, people barely picked this up, and it was pretty much a meme weapon.
I don't know. Like, I wouldn't say it was a hated weapon. Like, when I'm thinking hated weapons, and I know it's not a weapon, but I'm thinking like things like I'm thinking things like mounted turrets. For a weapon, I'm thinking like the Infinity Blade. That's what I'm thinking for like hated weapons. Perhaps there was an outrage about this before I started playing in Chapter 1, Season 3, but I don't think that this one was hated.
But in Chapter 1, we had a very loved weapon that we haven't seen in a very long
Guided
time.
missile.
Loved weapon number 1 is the guided missile launcher. The amount of clips and moments this one weapon created back in Chapter 1 was insane.
This should be a staple in Fortnite. We need more balanced weapons that are useful and can create the fun experiences that everybody loved, like we saw in OG Fortnite. This is the type of thing that Epic Games is missing out, and I cannot wait for the guided missile to come back in OG.
It was extremely unique. You got to control a rocket that shot out of the guided missile launcher, leaving your character behind, but then you could track and find your opponents, sending the rocket straight into them.
The amount of different things that you could do with it, whether it's trolling people, shooting people to the sky, jumping on it yourself, like, and just even using it as a regular rocket launcher, one of the greatest items in Fortnite history. I completely agree with this.
It was kind of powerful because back then people didn't really know how to build, so it was easy to land the rocket on them every single time.
Yeah.
But that's not where the weapon really shined, because you could actually use this guided rocket and rocket ride your teammates or even yourself. Yes, that's right. You could rocket ride your teammates or yourself with the guided missile launcher.
And the amount of trick shots you could do with that, saving your teammates, I forgot about that as well.
Creating some insane moments and awesome clips. The rocket itself also did 100 damage, so getting hit with this thing was pretty serious. But now we go on to hated weapon number 2. And even though Nick A30 loves this weapon, I gotta put some hate on the lever action shotgun.
Yeah, but again, I wouldn't say that this is like an overhated weapon. It's just a weapon that people kind of go, lever action shotgun. Like, that's how people kind of feel about it. I wouldn't say like people actively hate on it.
The thing about this weapon is it replaced the pump. So when you remove the pump shotgun and replace it with a weapon that is as weak as the lever action, people are going to hate it just a little bit extra.
That's a very good point. I didn't even think about that. I forgot about that. As soon as you replace anything, remember the combat shotgun? You know, like people like the combat shotgun now, but when that first replaced the pump, it was like somebody like killed their mother, you know, with this Fortnite community.
The damage drop off on this gun is insane. It's only ever useful in super close quarter, and honestly, it doesn't do that much damage.
Yeah, it's not better than like any pump. Like when it was in chapter 2, season 5 there, the double barrel or the dragon's breath shotgun was better because you still have to stuff the barrel down people's throats. I didn't like the lever action shotgun at all.
Sure, it shoots pretty fast, but when this was added to the game, there was no zero build, so all the fights were like box fights and build fights, and the fact that it shot faster didn't really help it too much. It doesn't really have an identity. You know, the pump shoots hard but slow, and the tac shoots fast but has medium damage. This thing has...
And I think that's a really good way to put it, to be honest with you. I think it's a fantastic way to put it. I don't know how people can seriously sit down and be like, yeah, you know what, the lever action shotgun is my personal favorite shotgun. Hey, all the respect in the world if that's your shotgun. It's just, I don't get it.
Medium damage, and it's slower than the tac, so I don't know what's going on here. But let's talk about loved weapon number 2, a shotgun that did it well, the purple tac, an OG classic weapon. This thing did an insane amount of damage, and if you weren't good with landing your pump shots, you were gonna go for the tactical shotgun. I
wish that I could comment on this one, but the purple tac shotgun was before my time. I started playing it around like I want to say mid-season, chapter 1, season 3, and the purple tac shotgun was before my time. We were all about the blue tactical shotgun.
Back in chapter 1, you were either a pump shotgun player or a tactical shotgun player. Like, people actually chose which one they preferred, and the tactical shotgun could keep up with the pump in terms of damage. Sure, you didn't have the one pump capabilities, but it did a lot of damage.
Yeah, and the tactical shotgun was way better for how people used to play back in the day too, because people didn't build nearly as much. You can kind of spam the auto shotguns.
Something that you could pick up over the pump, and you wouldn't be wrong for doing that. But now we got to talk about hated weapon number 3. This one's actually recent, the Typhoon blade.
Yes.
Not gonna lie.
Now this is worthy of a hate list. I like the Typhoon blade. I like melee weapons in Fortnite, and I like this a lot better than the kinetic blade, but a lot of people did really hate it because, you know, people described it as free wins, but I think people need to get better with their pump shots.
Animations on this thing, the movement, it's all very cool, very anime-esque, and initially I was like, yeah, this is a cool weapon. But once people start swinging at you with the Typhoon blade and they're really close to you, their character is jumping all over the place, making it impossible for you to hit a shot.
But it's not impossible, though. That's the problem. If you have a really, really good pump shotgun shot, you can take care of somebody using the Typhoon blade typically.
There's so many deaths that happen where I have somebody one shot, they pull out the Typhoon blade, start spamming it, and I just can't land a shot. And I'm sure that has happened to you guys.
And it's an understandable reason to hate a weapon, and I get it is spammy, it is overpowered. I would be okay if the Typhoon blade did get a nerf, but I think that it was a little bit overblown, the hate.
We'll say a good example of how a melee weapon should look like when they are attacking you is the new baseball bat in chapter 6,
I agree.
season 2.
I agree.
The animation is not over the top, and I think they learned a valuable lesson with the animation of the Typhoon blade.
That's a very good point, actually. And I just want to say, guys, like, I'm really enjoying like the way that this video is presented. I find that background like satisfying, not just this one specifically, but the ones they've been using. I really like it, like the graphic.
They learned a valuable lesson with the animation of the Typhoon blade, because people were really hating on this thing, especially towards the end of chapter 6, season 1.
Yeah, people are also hating on the kneecapper, man, but I think that the kneecapper is okay as is. I'd be okay if you wanted to do a little bit of a nerf, but still, like, the durability. I hate durability too. That's what I hate. I don't hate the weapon. I hate the durability.
Now for loved weapon number 3, the Mythic Havoc shotgun. Now, people sometimes complain when a weapon is too overpowered. This was one instance where a very overpowered weapon was actually loved.
I agree with that. That's true, but would you even just consider it overpowered, though, just because it can one-shot? I don't know. Like, it's just a very, very strong weapon. I personally like it when, like, amazing shots are rewarded, and this gun just flat out felt nice to use. It was one of the best shotguns in the game, and it was rewarding. It wasn't like busted. It was a little bit overpowered, I would say. I really like this, and it's weird that it's weird to me that the community didn't complain more about this gun. Yeah, you heard it here and there, but like Sypher said, it was a weird instance.
The ability to hit 250 headshot damage kind of reminded us of the OG chapter 1 pumps that used to also hit for 250 headshot damage. So we kind of felt like it was the OG pump, but reskinned in a new way.
It felt way better than the OG pump, way better. It was the cleanest, and I would go to say it's my favorite feeling shotgun in the entirety of Fortnite.
It was the first shotgun that could also one pump players who were in zero build, because of course in zero build you have the 50 overshield, and that's what made it very, very powerful, because even if you missed the headshot and you just hit them in the body, you were hitting them for like 116 damage, which is a little ridiculous, but that didn't stop people from loving it.
I love it. I love it, man. It was so satisfying, so smooth to use.
Hated weapon is a no-brainer. Hated weapon number 4 is the Charge SMG. The whole point of an SMG is it's supposed to be quick. You're supposed to be able to shoot people fast, reload fast. This thing...
Okay, he's right. He's completely correct in what he's saying, right? I liked the Charge SMG. Okay, and this is fitting for a hated weapon. People just really despise this thing. I get it. The point of the SMG is to be fast, just like Sypher said. You don't charge up an SMG, but if you use it as a charge up weapon and not like, okay, I'm going to use this as an SMG, use it as its own weapon, it shred through walls, it shred through build, and it deleted people. I actually unironically enjoyed this weapon.
Required you to charge the gun before using it, making it the worst SMG Fortnite ever added, let alone maybe the worst weapon Fortnite ever added, period.
No, I disagree with that. I have to think about like what the worst. No, the makeshift weapons were the worst, for sure. 100% the makeshift weapons were the worst, but this thing did have its uses. You just had to not use it as an SMG. That's a problem, right? It's called the charge SMG. It's a bad SMG, but it's a good gun in my opinion.
To charge up, and once you started shooting the charged up bullets, there was so much recoil, it was very hard to even land the shots that you charged.
Really? I disagree with that. I found it pretty easy to end up using. Maybe it's just because a lot of people didn't give that gun a chance, but I unironically enjoy the charge SMG.
It just looked absolutely silly if you shot somebody with a pump shotgun and then pulled out the charge SMG, and then you had to wait half a second to a second so you could charge up some of the bullets to shoot. It also only did 17 damage. This thing was not a damage dealing gun.
What? It wasn't a damage dealing gun, but it deleted people. All you had to have is some really good aim.
One that did do a decent amount of damage was loved weapon number 4, the Stark Industries rifle. This thing was amazing for getting surge, for tagging people across the map. It was super accurate, and it was one of our first weapons that had like 2 different modes.
I don't know about that one. I feel like I could come up with a better list about guns that people really loved. You think the Stark rifle was that high? I know it was an enjoyed weapon in a really, really good season, but you think it's like number 4 on deserving lists for like the loved weapons in Fortnite history? I don't know. I don't know about that one.
If you aim down sight, you were going to shoot slow, hard hitting shots. If you hip fired with it, it was going to shoot a lot faster, making it kind of like a AR SMG combo.
Yeah, it was very balanced, very good, and I thoroughly enjoyed using this weapon.
The best assault rifle during Chapter 2, Season 4, and it was very similar to the infantry rifle, which a lot of people really liked. Now, next up is hated weapon number 5. Again, a very useless weapon that let us all down.
What?
Kinetic Boomerang.
Ah, I love this weapon. No, okay. Okay, guys, here's an unpopular take of mine. I did not like the kinetic blade, and I still do not like the kinetic blade. I don't care for the dash. I'll use shockwave grenades, whatever. Like, I don't find the kinetic blade fun to use. This one's fun. Is it the most powerful item in the game? Absolutely not. But the hate for this thing is so overblown. It's not completely useless. I like that you can, if you got used to it, you could chuck the thing, and then you can choose when that little explosion would happen. Plus, it had, like, the soft aim to it, too. No, I liked the kinetic blade, and I liked Wilds.
You see, we had the kinetic hammer, which was insane. We had the kinetic blade, a good successor to the hammer. We were expecting something crazy with the boomerang. Maybe the ability to teleport to where the boomerang was thrown. Maybe the ability to pull people towards you. Maybe a ton of damage. This thing had none of that. We threw the boomerang, it tracks players, did only 60 damage of throwing it. It was clunky, it took too long. 99% of the time, this thing was not practical to
okay, there was a lot of times where the weapon wasn't practical, but it did have its uses, and I will sit on that. It did have its uses. It was good, especially like when you're kind of being low-key, just chucking it at somebody kind of third-partying. Very, very underrated weapon.
And I'm sure it's a weapon that has the least amount of total eliminations all time on Fortnite.
Yeah, you know what? That I could actually see. I could see that.
Right next to the charge SMG, but probably even less.
No, yeah, this is definitely less than charge SMG. The charge SMG deleted people.
But a weapon I know has a lot of kills is loved weapon number 5, the Gold Scar. An absolute classic. This thing was a beast when they first added it with the 97 headshot damage, of course. Now, the thing is,
it's one of the most iconic weapons in Fortnite history, and I think that probably would fit at number 1, like, of all time. The Gold Scar was, people freaked out when they saw it. It was like the best day ever when you found a Gold Scar. It was actually rare when rarity mattered.
They almost kind of ruined the legacy of the Scar, because if you remember back in Chapter 3, they brought the Scar back and it dropped in green and blue rarity and even in purple and legendary. And
it also just kind of sucked compared to the way they changed the Scar in general.
Something was off. This wasn't the same gun that we had back in Chapter 1. The stats were different, the accuracy was different, and the blue and green Scar just wasn't hitting.
Yeah, and because they introduced things like the Hammer AR, which is just objectively better than the Scar.
People started saying that the Scar was actually washed, and the Hammer Assault Rifle was much better and made the Scar look useless. But with the return of Fortnite OG, we were proven wrong. Scar is still one of the best assault rifles in Fortnite.
They just need to make it a little bit like rarer to find. You need to have it like this grand event. You need to get those endorphins running when Epic Games like actually gives you the opportunity to pick up a Scar. Like, oh my god, that guy had a gold Scar, and you would do anything to get that gold Scar.
Still does a ton of damage, especially with the old headshot multiplier, which is where the Scar thrives. What we have in current Fortnite OG. It's also one of the most iconic weapons of all of Fortnite, and people even outside of Fortnite know about this weapon.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I was about to actually pause there and correct. It might be one of the most iconic weapons in gaming history.
And now for hated weapon number 6, and I know some of you controller players and console players might not agree with this one. I don't care. Every DMR. I couldn't pick one. Every DMR. These things were bad. I would rather have...
Yeah, but again, I'm kind of feeling like we were talking about earlier in the video where it wasn't a liked gun. But I don't think the hate for it was like enough to be on like a top most hated list, you know? A lot of people didn't like it. I don't really like it myself. Like, I liked the original DMR. It was okay. But the other, like, especially the Cobra DMR, that one was garbage.
Have a sniper or any assault rifle than a DMR. Sure, if you hit a couple headshots with this thing, it was going to do some damage. And yeah, maybe the one from Chapter 5, which you could put a bunch of attachments on, was somewhat useful because of the attachments. But at the end of the day, like, what are we doing here? This thing is not a sniper or an assault rifle.
Yeah, it's just, it's flat out weak compared to what Epic Games used to bring out, man.
It doesn't do the job of either one. It is just mediocre and average. I've only ever seen console players hit a decent amount of shots with this thing because I guess the aim assist on it is very strong. But
yeah, I found the aim assist a little helpful with that too, but still, like, and I don't, maybe it is because I'm a controller player. I just haven't seen people, no, I haven't seen people complain about this too much. It's just like, oh, DMR's in the game. That's kind of how people feel about it.
I hate when they're in the loot pool, and yeah, I'm the DMR's #1 hater. But now we gotta talk about a weapon that mouse and keyboard players love and controller and console players love. The Mammoth pistol.
I knew it. I knew that was coming, and I absolutely love the Mammoth pistol. It's a little strange to me that people really enjoy the Mammoth pistol because it's a gun that feels very good, and I honestly believe it to be balanced. It's just a nice, strong weapon. But usually when you have a weapon that like does a lot of like headshot damage, something that like really is when good players use it, they can beam people out of the sky. It's a little shocking to me that we're not getting a lot more complaints, kind of like we're talking about the Havoc shotgun.
Number 6. This is an instant classic. People loved it as soon as it was added. It literally saved an entire season of Fortnite. That's right. Chapter 4, Season 3 was an absolute disaster.
Wilds was one of the most underrated seasons of all time. I love Fortnite Wilds.
And this one weapon managed to save it. Insane damage. Very accurate. Fun to use. They added it to reload and people were going feral for it. Now
that's honestly, I'd be okay if it was a permanent addition to reload, man. It is one of the most satisfying guns to use. That and the Havoc shotgun. Could you imagine that in the same loot pool? The Mythic Havoc shotgun and the Mythic pistol, Mammoth pistol.
Mythic version of it, and it goes crazy too. Everyone loves this gun. And of course, they brought it back to Battle Royale for a reason, because we all love it. And now for another disappointment. Hated weapon number 7. The Paper Bomb Kunai. You know...
But, not hated, just a little useless. Not hated though.
You think about the mythic items that Fortnite added for Dragon Ball.
Okay, hang on. Hated would be the Deku Smash. Are we just ignoring like mythic weapons? Are we talking about like actual weapons like guns? Where's the makeshift weapons?
The Cloud and the Kamehameha, and you think about the Gojo collab, think about the Jujutsu Kaisen and the My Hero Academia. All those mythics were so powerful, so OP. And then you have a anime like Naruto, which has some of the most iconic attacks in all of anime. The Rasengan, the Chidori, the Shadow Clone Jutsu. And you give us the Paper Bomb Kunai.
Okay, did Dragon Ball fans hate this? Is that where it's coming from? I don't know. Sorry, was it Dragon Ball or... Oh, I'm going to hear about it in that one. Like, I don't mean to be disrespectful. I don't remember if it's Naruto or Dragon Ball Z. But they do have a lot of potential from anime, and I guess, like, that isn't necessarily a good thing to bring. I don't know if it was hated among the community that, like, really enjoy the crossover.
But you make it so bad. 35 damage, 35 explosive damage. This thing was so bad.
They sucked.
It was slow. Nobody got a kill with it. And it was a disgrace to one of the best animes ever.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was, again, hated among the community, but, like, with the Fortnite community in general, people just kind of looked at it and didn't use it. It wasn't hated.
Right, man. They got to do Naruto right, bro. They got to bring back some Naruto skins, bring us some new Naruto skins. We want Madara. Bring in some new skins and give us a mythic Naruto weapon that we can all be happy with. Now, they don't...
Yeah, bring back the Deku Smash while we're at it, too. I love the Deku Smash.
Was fumble the collabs because loved weapon number 7. One of the most loved
What is
collab items in Fortnite is the Spider-Man web
shooters. Yes. That's not number 1. That might be number 1, man. That might actually be number 1. That was almost universally loved by Fortnite players.
Really a weapon, but I had to include it because, like, this thing was perfect. You were swinging around as Spider-Man, better than actual Spider-Man game.
Yep, they did the swinging mechanic better, than any Spider-Man game could ever implement, which is insane. Epic Games does not get enough props for that.
You felt like you were playing a completely different game. Fortnite really showed us that they were different. It had 80 charges, so you could use it the entire match, and it was actually balanced. Like, sure, swinging a Spider-Man was a little powerful, but if you got shot while you were swinging, you would fall and take fall damage.
Yep, now that I think about it, it actually was very balanced. It was probably the perfect Spider-Man mythic. Yeah.
So they actually managed to make a very, very unique item, very powerful, but also very balanced.
Yeah, and there was, it's a good weapon too when you can use it like actually to fight. You can use it to travel, or you can literally just explore the map and just swing like Spider-Man. How many times have we all done that? Just swinging around just for the sake of swinging around, being Spider-Man. Like, it was beautiful, man. What a great time. Chapter 3, Season 1, one of the greatest seasons of all time.
Now for the final hated weapon number 8. All the makeshift weapons. That's right.
Okay, I was waiting for this one. I agree with this one, and this is deserving of the hated weapons. It is horrible. The worst weapons Epic Games has ever added into Fortnite.
All the makeshift weapons were bad. Chapter 2, Season 6, Primal. Makeshift weapons obviously weren't meant to be used because you had to find parts and upgrade them, but having to fight in the early game with a makeshift submachine gun or a makeshift rifle.
Yeah, and then when somebody else would just find like a primal rifle on the ground, you had like, it's one of those times where you had no chance. It's not like, okay, well, if you're good enough with a makeshift weapon, then perhaps you can beat the guy with the primal rifle. No, they were actually that bad.
God forbid, like the makeshift pistol. This was horrible. Nobody wanted that. Worse weapons, worse stats, inaccurate, no first-person accuracy. The only thing they were good for is doing a challenge video where you try to win with only the makeshift weapons. Besides that, thumbs down from me.
No, absolutely, absolutely. The makeshift weapons are the... But again, I wouldn't say most hated. But obviously, Sypher, I guess, left out mythic weapons, like leaving out the Deku Smash, leaving out the Infinity Blade. If you want to talk about vehicles, planes were up there too. Maybe we can make a video on that, guys. Maybe we can make the actual correct video on that.
But now for loved weapon number 8.
What is
this
that?
Is probably one of the most overpowered items ever added to Fortnite, but we still loved it regardless of how overpowered it was, because you know what?
What is it?
It was supposed to be overpowered. Loved weapon number 8 is the Infinity Gauntlet. This was...
Oh, yeah, hang on. We're adding the Mythic Infinity Gauntlet, and we're adding Spider-Man shooters, but we're ignoring all of the other ones. Very weird list, Sypher, man. Very, very weird list.
Iconic. We got to turn into Thanos and drop a 30 bomb on the default.
Yep.
This happened early in Chapter 1. Marvel and Fortnite collab happened so early, we knew Fortnite was a different kind of game.
Yeah, and everybody did love this weapon at the time, too. Everybody loved it. I don't know anybody that ended up hating this thing. And you know how I always talk about the Fortnite community needing to change their attitudes because over the years, people are getting more and more depressed. I'm not going to go into the entire thing, but there is a big attitude switch that needs to become with gamers because, oh, Dr. Doom does the same thing. Godzilla does the same thing. It's OP. Dr. Doom shouldn't be able to kill so fast, but with Thanos, everybody loved it. We need a big, big, major shift in everybody's mindset, man, because we could have experiences like this again. And Epic Games tried to give us another experience like this, but no, everybody had to hate it.
Knew it was going to be something special. 200 shield, 500 health. You get to fly around and jump as Thanos. You would regen your health on kills, making you a walking boss.
Yeah, and people are like, people are talking about with like OG Chapter 1 Season 4 coming back. Oh, they got to bring back the Thanos mode. Are you kidding me? The first person that gets killed by Thanos is going to start a giant Twitter thread and make a video that'll get like 500,000 views and make its way over to 1 million talking about how overpowered Thanos is and how Epic Games completely ruined the crossover and why it doesn't feel the same as OG Fortnite. But in reality, they're the problem. But this weapon was absolutely loved. I'm just saying, like, I wish we could get experiences like this again, man. We haven't had an experience like this since 2018, and it's because of people crying.
This is back when everybody sucked. So when you turned to Thanos, you were getting 10, 15, 20, 30 kills very easily. One of the most fun I've ever had playing a video game. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree with this list, but even if you agree or disagree, make sure you like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next.
It was a good video, and honestly, it was very, very well edited as well. I really like those graphics that they end up using, but man, very strange list, I will say. There were some agreements, there were some disagreements over there, but there was a lot more loved and there was a lot more hated in my opinion. So I don't know, maybe we can make the correct list one day, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. We also did react to Sypher's video talking about loved versus hated seasons. You can check that out on the screen right now. I would love to have you over there. Thank you again for being here, everybody. Take care.